Peace and wellness, hope seekers. Welcome to Learning to Read Food Labels. This chat is to help those looking to transition to better dietary habits, learn more about the food choices available to them in the form of prepackaged products. Many find it hard to navigate the whole food options, which is fine, the whole food options, right? So we're talking about real food, real fruits and vegetables like you see in the picture here. And that's fine in the beginning, but eventually your goal should be to transition to whole foods, which should be about 70 to 80% of your diet, right? Every day, daily. You want to transition out of prepackaged products as the main source of nutrients, okay? So food is information to your cells that tells them to perform efficiently and effectively or to malfunction, thus creating disease within the body. So we want to make sure we're giving our bodies good information so that we can thrive. You get to choose daily what path your health will go. Now, the state of the health and wellness in today's society is one that is basically treated by pills, patches, and potions. And the few people who actually manage to break free from the sick care system find help to reorient their minds and spirits to actually live. I know everybody want to live, but when it becomes a little challenging to shift your health and your wellness, some people fall back on the notion or the idea that, hey, I'm going to die from something one day anyway, so why not live my life? But then you find that they often complain about the state of their health or the condition of their physical form because they don't want to do the work to put in, they don't want to do the work to take care of this physical form that the divine has blessed them with, right? So I know everybody want to live, but what are you willing to do? What type of work are you willing to put in to do that? Okay, so taking back control of what you feed yourself is such a revolutionary act, so much so that you actually recalibrate the infinite capabilities of your physical form, right? You are much more powerful than you believe. This physical form can do way more in conjunction with the energetic side of who you are. Now, taking back that power and reactivating those capabilities in your physical form, it actually activates or reactivates your universal connection to the divine. And here's where we tap into those potentialities that we have both physically and metaphysically. Okay, so keep that in mind. So the plan for today's chat is to show you how to read the nutritional facts and ingredients listed on those prepackaged products. I will also highlight sneaky ways that harmful chemicals are mixed into those products and passed off as healthy, low-fat, sugar-free, all of that fancy schmancy stuff, right? So getting into the habit of reading your prepackaged product labels will undoubtedly spill over into like when you go out to eat with your friends and your families, which is a good thing because you remain in control of the information given to your cells to create either health or dis-ease. All right. So here's a nutrition facts breakdown. So this breakdown of each of these sections is going to highlight what this data actually means, okay? So if you see at the top in the green area, this is the serving size, right? So typically on the side of any prepackaged product, you will see a list, something of this sort. It's gonna tell you how many servings is in that package and how much of a serving is what you probably should be consuming, right? So again, this section is the basis for determining the number of calories, the amount of each nutrient, and the daily values of that food, right? And obviously you want to definitely look at the serving sizes because that's going to be super duper important as you move along your wellness journey and you want to keep prepackaged items in your diet. and especially if you have some type of goal of weight maintenance or things like that, okay? So the gray area, the second part, is the amount of calories, and they actually break down two sections for you. So the total calories, which in this example is 250, but of those 250 calories, you have 110 that comes from fat. All right. Now, if you are somebody who's trying to lose weight and you are still consuming pre-packaged products, this may not be the route you want to take. Okay. The next part, which is the yellow part, is some nutrients that you actually want to be mindful of and you want to limit them. Okay. So you're looking at the fats, which mostly you'll see on prepackaged foods. They'll have the saturated, unsaturated, and trans fat, right? And sometimes you may see polyunsaturated and monounsaturated. But either way, you want to steer clear of the fats, or not necessarily steer clear. I won't say that. You want to be mindful of that. You want to be mindful of the cholesterol that's actually in that product and the sodium. You want to limit these things because eating too much of this will actually contribute to a higher risk of you developing some type of chronic disease issue, maybe like heart disease, cancer, high blood pressure, and things of that, right? So you want to stay, you want to be mindful of this area. Okay, so the next area is the red area, and you typically want to really be vested in getting the most out of this area, right? So this includes your dietary fiber and your macro and micronutrients. You want to get the most out of this. You want to get those the most out of whatever the prepackaged item is, right? So truth be told, not enough Americans actually consume enough dietary fiber to keep them regular, to facilitate their digestive system working properly, or even just their cardiovascular system being healthy. So you definitely want to make sure you get that stuff in. Now, number 5 here, you see it's a purple outline of the percentages here. This section tells you whether the nutrients in one serving of food contribute a little or a lot to the total daily diet, right? So in this package is telling you that these percentages are the percentage of what somebody who's on a 2,000 to maybe 2,500 calorie diet, how much of these particular things is taken up, the amount that they can have, the amount of macro micronutrients that they can have in the day. So if you're looking at this and you're on a 2,000 calorie diet and the total fat is 18%, I'm pretty sure you've probably maxed out at your fat intake already. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. Okay. The last part here is in the blue, and these are just they'll be the footnotes with the daily values. So this one provides information, important nutrients including fat, sodium, and fibers, and it also tells you the max of what you should be consuming when it comes to sodium, cholesterol, fat, and things like that. If you are on a 2,000 calorie diet, you don't want to go over what is listed here, right? So if you know, the limit is 2,400 milligrams of sodium, you don't want to consume 2,400 milligrams of sodium in one package. Okay, and if you can look back up to the top in the yellow here, the sodium in this particular product is 470. So you kind of creeping along rather quickly. Okay. So here is the food label changes that have been made within the last 10 years. So in 2016, the FDA proposed changing the food label to reflect new scientific discoveries and the link between diet and chronic diseases such as obesity. Now, the new changes uses larger fonts to emphasize certain information so that it basically encourages the consumer to read. Okay, so if you see on the left, this is the old label where all of the information is the same size, same font, nothing is really standing out. So if you are not keen on reading, you're going to skim through this and not really pick up what you need. Now, the label on the right shows various areas that have been emphasized to convince the consumer to, again, read what's there. So if we take a look at the bigger picture here, the bigger nutritional facts, so you see the serving size is in a larger, bolder font. The serving size is actually updated to show like, okay, hey, there is 8 servings per this container, and the amount for each serving is 2/3 cups, right? The calories are a lot bigger. So for this one, it's 230. They updated the daily values percentages listed first. So because in America, we read left to right, it only made sense to kind of put that in the front so that people can see like, okay, this is 12% of what my daily amount or my daily intake, you know, I'm allotting myself to have or whatnot. And again, this is only if you're counting calories or if you're trying to be mindful of your diet because you are not quite to the point of consuming 70 to 80% whole foods, whole natural foods, okay? You'll also see here that they had to add the added sugars. They had to get that part called out because a lot of people were dealing with issues, especially like obesity and heart disease and things like that, because they thought they were eating something healthy, but they were overeating. And then the sugar that was in it to mask the flavor of those low fat or sugar-free, quote unquote, healthy snack options, they had to put a lot of other sugar in it. And it doesn't come in a form, it doesn't say sugar. As you'll see when we move through this presentation, it doesn't say sugar. It says all of these other fancy words that still allude to it being sugar in it. So technically speaking, it does have sugar. It was never sugar-free. Okay. And then last but not least, you can also see at the very bottom changes of nutrients, actual amounts that's declared. So they put in there, instead of saying, hey, this is only 10% or 20% or 45%, they went ahead and added the milligrams and micrograms and things like that so that people know how much of these micronutrients that they're actually getting. Okay, so reading and understanding food labels will become easier. However, in the meantime, here I want to share a few simple steps for you to use that can help you stay on track until you transition off of prepackaged products. Okay. So there's 6 steps that I kind of want to share with you. So grab a pen so you can write these things down. Step 1, you want to always check the serving size and the calories, as you see here. How many servings is in the package and how many calories per servings. Now, one serving may be way smaller than you realize. So if you eat 2 or 3 servings, you've eaten double or triple the calories, fat, and all of the other nutritional factors that's in that particular packaged food or packaged product. Step 2, you want to check the amounts and type of fat. We want to steer clear of the trans, saturated, and unsaturated fats because these things are generally derived from animals, animal byproducts, or other unnatural sources. So you want to lean more towards consuming healthy fats like polyunsaturated and monounsaturated. Still being careful because your body needs fat for various processes and various systems, but when you go into overload, your body doesn't really know what to do, so it all becomes stored. Step 3, you want to check the cholesterol content. Now, consuming no more than 300 milligrams or less per day. I'll say that again. You do not want to consume more than 300. You want to go 300 or less, 300 milligrams or less per day. As humans, we make our own cholesterol, so we don't need to complicate our system with extra animal or unnatural sources of cholesterol. So if that one package product has 300 milligrams of cholesterol, you've already maxed out for the day, okay? Step 4, I want you to check the salt, AKA sodium, okay? When it comes to sodium, I want you to remember, water follows salt. Excess salt in the body typically presents as edema or swelling. And of course, high blood pressure becomes an issue, which means your kidneys can't filter and regulate the liquids in your body like they're supposed to because there's too much salt. There's basically too much acidity in the body. So your daily intake of sodium should be 2,300 milligrams, which equals about one rounded teaspoon of salt daily. So I want you to do an experiment at home. Go ahead and grab your salt and see if you can scoop out a heaping teaspoon of salt, and that's how much salt you should have daily. I know a lot of people use that amount of salt in one meal or making a dish of some sort, okay? Also, when it comes to prepackaged products, you want to be sure that there's potassium present to counteract the sodium. Potassium and sodium works hand in hand, especially in the body. So if you can get that in your prepackaged product, is going to help kind of regulate, keep things a little balanced inside of the body, or even counteract whatever issues may arise from too much sodium, okay? So when it comes to potassium, let's look at this little example here. The sodium is listed as 160 milligrams, but if you look down at the bottom, the potassium is 235 milligrams, which is good because that potassium is going to basically counteract that sodium so your body doesn't hold on to water. Okay, step 5, you want to check the carbohydrates and the sugar. Now, most of the sugar should come from a natural source, meaning if this package item is, it claims to have real fruits in it, you want most of the sugar to come from the fruit and not the added sugar. You don't want to have like all of these other added sugars where most of the packaged item contains more of the added sugars than natural sugar. So if you look at the example here, the sugars, it says 1 gram. The sugars right here is supposed to indicate that this is a naturally occurring sugar from whatever the food product is or whatever the prepackaged product is. And then beneath that says added sugar. And this is typically all of the additives and preservatives that's added to this thing to make it last or to make it taste a certain type of way. Okay. And again, we'll talk more about the sneaky ways that unnatural sugars are put into our quote unquote food sources to make them edible and also addictive. All right. Step 6, last step here, you want to check out the fiber content. As we all know, fiber is vital to our digestive health. So choosing a product that has 5 grams or more of fiber is ideal for your overall health. Okay. So sugar in its many disguises. Now, the food industry has many sneaky ways for adding this additive or addictive chemical to everything deemed consumable for humans, right? Now, some sugars listed here are natural and some or majority of them are unnatural. Okay, so a few natural sugars will be date sugar, and this is if you take the actual date, dehydrate it, put it in a food processor, and process it until it becomes crisp little bits of little pieces of sugar. Basically, you can use dates in that way. That is a natural sugar. Maple syrup and honey, these are natural sweeteners, right? Unnatural sweeteners will be dextrose, lactose, dextran, high fructose corn syrup, and maltodextrin, right? These are the things that actually spike the insulin. It causes a bunch of issues, not only with your kidneys, but with your digestive tract overall, and your lymphatic system and your endocrine system, okay? So if you see any of these names, just know it's sugar, right? If you see any of these names listed here on your prepackaged products, just know and understand that it's sugar. And I want you to pay attention to how many times you see sugar in the actual ingredients list. Same thing with dairy. Dairy has many disguises as well. And just like sugar, dairy is another product that is dangerous to human health. Sugar and dairy are highly inflammatory chemicals that wreak havoc in the body and actually contribute to disease processes developing. So when you see any of these names, again, just know that dairy and dairy byproduct and dairy waste is present in that prepackaged product. A lot of us are familiar with casein, curd, lactose, natural butter flavor, whey, things like that. But just know if you see any of these names that it is dairy. And if you're trying to steer clear of dairy, you definitely want to be up on it, on your P's and your Q's when it comes to this. All right, now let's read some food labels. So when reading ingredients, the things at the top are what's prominent in the product. So if there are more than 5 ingredients, this should definitely raise a red flag for you. The ingredients should be easy to read and should look like the actual food that is said to be in the package. All right, so here we have chips. We have some chips. If you look at it just off rip, there are over 30 ingredients listed, so red flag number 1. One serving is about 12 chips, and let's be honest, who actually eats 12 chips? Nobody. There's no potassium to counteract the sodium. The fat is saturated, which means it's probably some type of animal and or unnatural source. And then again, y'all go through the steps from earlier to see if this is information you want to actually put in your body. All right, so let's look at some cereal. And cereal is considered to be breakfast food. Breakfast means to break your fast from sleeping or resting, right? So in my honest and humble opinion, to break your fast with something that is heavy and something that is highly chemicalized is not the way to go. It's not the best start for your body and for your day, okay? Now, if you look at this ingredient list, it shows how much sugar. They already highlighted it for us, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 sugars. It's actually some milk sugars in there as well, but 10 sugars, 10 different types of sugars in this product that's supposed to be breakfast cereal, okay? And you can look at, again, how many ingredients is in this product. This is definitely a red flag, okay? There's way too many things happening in this ingredients list. All right, so this one is a nut butter, right? So again, looking at the serving size here, we see that it's 2 tablespoons. There's about 13 servings in that particular container. The calories for those 2 tablespoons is about 190 calories, and 150 of them are fat, okay? And again, we're looking at the fat. Going over to the breakdown, the total fat, you have 17 grams of fat. 3.5 of those grams are saturated fat. Then you have the polyunsaturated fat, which is 5 grams, and the monounsaturated fat, which is 8 grams. And remember, I said polyunsaturated and monounsaturated are typically considered healthy fats, but you still want to be careful with your consumption of those things, right? Look at the cholesterol, okay, so no cholesterol listed. Look at the salt and or sodium. They have 150 milligrams. My only issue is that you don't have any kind of, you don't know what salt it is. You don't know what type of salt it is. It just listed, if you look at the ingredients list, it says salt, but is it pink Himalayan salt? Is it iodized salt? Is it, what type of salt is it? So this would be a red flag for me, a yellow flag rather for me, because I don't know what type of salt that they use. Maybe you can go to the actual company website and see where they source their materials from to make the product, and that could ease your mind. Looking at the carbohydrates, so the total carbohydrates is 6 grams. Of those carbohydrates, the dietary fiber is 3 grams. Okay. And again, only issue is not knowing what kind of sugar was actually used. If you look down at the ingredients list, they have roasted peanuts, sugar, palm oil, and salt, 4 ingredients. And this would typically be considered healthy, right? But we don't know what type of sugar was used. And then obviously when it comes to the fiber, there's 3 grams of it in here, which is good. You want to try to get 5, but 3 grams is okay, especially when it comes to only having 2 tablespoons of this product. Now, again, this would be viewed as healthy, but with the uncertain ingredients / sources of the ingredients, I would recommend not adding this to your cart, okay? Now you know how to read the food labels of your favorite snacks and other products. All right, I want you to use this information to help you and your family take back control of the information centers you all operate in 24/7. I'm talking about your bodies. Now, this is a great resource for tightening up on your budget because obviously you don't want to buy things that's going to contribute to your body breaking down and developing some type of disease, which means you're typically prone to not purchase it, which means you have more money in your pocket to invest in your health. Okay. So again, this can definitely help you tighten up your budget and your behavior and your relationship with food. All right. I hope this helps you along your wellness journey. If you need some help getting back on track, let us know. You can visit us here at our site, and we will be more than happy to assist you on your wellness journey.